Hello. I'm holding my microphone just because I kind of feel like it. I'll probably put it on here in a second. If for some reason you're watching this and you have no clue who I am, I'm very curious on how you found this. Uh, Nonetheless, I'm Dewan L. Hearn. Uh, I have stuff to actually put myself in an intro. I'm Dewan L. Hearn, more affectionately known as the Moon. I'm the author of the Copperwheat Collection. I am the co-host of Sacco and the Moon, a podcast that looks into all things horror from the perspective of independent uh, writers. And I am the host of the Moon Equals Wrestling podcast. You can find all me related things at DewanLHearn.com. I'm not used to actually having all that to say. This is where I put it on. So, like I said in the description, the whole point of this life, boils down to this. Normally on Fridays, I and my co-host Sako Toomey, also known as Cass Floyd. Normally we do our show Sako and the Moon. We're on our season break between season 2 and season 3. Season 3 is coming up and we got a lot of cool stuff planned, a lot of really fun topics to discuss, and we've got guests. I'm gonna keep the guest list kind of secret, but we have guests to interview and have on the show. So if you liked those previous episodes, like the one we did with Steven Zimmer, you should absolutely go find Sako and the Moon. I'll type that in the comments because reasons. Why not? Search for Sako and the Moon. There's an entire channel for the show. Go ahead and subscribe to that. Go back and watch some of the other videos because they're dope. And I get to be this guy. Uh, So we're on hiatus. I think we return next week, if not next weekend. If not next Friday, then Friday after next. But it should be next Friday. And like normally we're doing that, but Sako's out of town, so there's no recording. And I'm like, I have a camera. I'm bored. I'm not really bored. I'm stupid busy, but it feels like I have time, so I've taken time. Um, so yeah, it's like, why haven't I? Like, where have I been? What am I doing? Where am I going? Past, present, future. Let's talk. Um, I haven't posted an episode of Moon Equals Wrestling in a while, and there's a reason for that. Not a good one, but there's a reason for that. Um, the show's on a very short hiatus. It's I just I had plans for Money in the Bank related uh, videos and such. At least two. I was going to do two videos that were related to Money in the Bank, and my mental just wasn't in it for those weeks. After a while, I felt like it was just kind of too late. The energy behind Money in the Bank is already kind of panned out. I was going to discuss the cash in by Drew McIntyre and how stupid yet genius it was. But I had a lot of doubt in those couple weeks. I'm being honest, and I couldn't bring myself to hit record. Uh, that's been tough to recognize. It's harder to actually deal with in the moment, but it is what it is. I'm in a slightly better place now, but ultimately, I just don't know how to expand that show. Um, I like the format of that show. I could probably work to making it a short, like episodes shorter, being more clear and concise to my point. If this live, which has only been on like 5 minutes, hasn't taught you anything, um, to at least taught you that I don't do anything quickly. Uh, I have a tendency to ramble, like I think I'm doing now. But the point of all that is simply I'm working on it. I'm working on trying to make the show more palatable. Uh, I don't have a new set. There's nowhere to do uh, the show other than like right here. So me and Angel here, we're just gonna be hanging out for a little bit. Um, I also noticed I have a tendency to look down at the screen here versus up at the camera. Working on that. This is me being mindful of it. So yeah, that's kind of where Moon Eagles Wrestling has been. But with SummerSlam happening Saturday, this Saturday, trust and believe I will have something to say about SummerSlam. I will promise you that I will post my reflections on the show and what I think that means moving forward. Uh, I look at the big four. A lot of people can think of like adding Money in the Bank, calling it a big five. Looking at the big four, and that's Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series, they're break points. They're break points in story. So SummerSlam is clearly going to be a break point. There's a lot of places where the stories are set to break. There will be title changes. No clue who, why, or where. Uh, find out Saturday. I will give my thoughts on the breaks, how I thought the stories broke off, and then I'll give you my thoughts on where I think we're going, where we should go, what I'm looking forward to. So I'm looking towards a few more projects in the future. And I've been spending some time away. This is what happens when you don't turn your phone off before you start recording. In conjunction with um, my buddies at Howard Hills Entertainment, we have a new project coming up, which I think you'll probably hear about more coming to the future. Like as we get the ball rolling on this next project. But there will be another film project coming up pretty soon. I'll keep you guys updated on that. And I'm thinking about a show involving movies. Now, I'll be honest with you. I've been sitting back and waiting. This is just me being bold. I've been sitting back waiting for uh, my peoples at Hallowed Hills to do our Hallowed Hills movie introspective type of show. And I feel like it's still coming. So if you've seen the short film we did, screenshots, you've already seen the Howard Hills Entertainment channel, go ahead and find that Howard Hills Entertainment channel. Subscribe to that because that's where all our future projects will end up. Will probably also be the home of that particular web show. In the meantime, though, there are other movies besides just horror, and I'm talking to people and I'm encountering people who They love the other stuff. And I love horror. It is my favorite genre. But I've been talking to a lot of sci-fi people. I just encountered like three people um, overall on Facebook. If you're seeing this, you probably have seen it. On Facebook, there's a group called Moon Media. It's got the same logo as this channel. And the point of that is just to build community amongst other creative people. Some of them are musicians, some of them are writers, some of them are filmmakers, so on and so on. And I recently asked them to post their top 5 favorite movies. My number two, which was previously my number one, was The Fifth Element. Another another writer, Karma Shoemaker, she put one of her favorite movies as The Fifth Element. And then another filmmaker and writer, uh, Purple Wayne Mitchell. His name isn't Purple. That's like the nickname we've given him. He's Purple Wayne now. We'll call him Purple Wayne, or we'll call him Dawn, or we'll call him Moon. There's a joke in that, and you'll learn about it later. Uh, but he loves The Fifth Element, and The Fifth Element is a fantastic movie. So what I really kind of want to do, really the kind of first verbalization of this idea, I want to do another show. It'll probably be right here on this channel, and that show will be. Look, people have talked about what the movie is and what happens in the movie, but I like to listen to people tell me their whys, their movie whys. Why is this a favorite movie of yours? Why do you love that actor in this movie? Why do you appreciate that director? Why do you like this? Why do you love that? Why do you hate this? There's some movies that I could probably get into that I don't like. And I feel like having a guest and that shares an opinion, or even better, has an opposing opinion, forces us to have to defend ourselves in uh, that court of public opinion, and sort of, so to speak. So maybe a show about our movie whys would be fun to do. Uh, so if you encounter this video at some point and you have a movie why, let's go with it. That might actually even be the title of the show. And I can't lie. Part of that is inspired by the ending of the Necronoma.com. So heartbroken. It was a great podcast hosted by James Sabata and Dr. Don Guillory. And they covered the social commentary in horror movies. And it was a fantastic show. You'll be able to go back and listen to all the old episodes. You should. I can think of 4 in particular that you should listen to. I may or may not have been on those. I was. And they were all dope. But there was a couple of others that were done by other people. Fantastic other movies that were covered. And if you're watching this today, before August 5th, next Monday, August 5th, the last episode of the Necronoma.com will air or be posted. And it covers the Silence of the Lambs. Or the Silence of the Lamb. You know the movie I'm talking about. And it's going to be a heartbreaking episode to listen to, but it was a great show. 2 great guys. I love spending time with those two. They've helped to welcome me as a contemporary in the horror space, and I am forever grateful to James Sabata and Don Guillory for what they've done for me, even in a in a space that they may not be familiar with, in a way they may not know. I owe a lot to both of them. I'll tell you the story. I've got nothing else going on right now. So I was at the first Imaginarium convention, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. and there was something on Twitter going around about like mental health and horror, and I knew that when I was having a bad day, I felt better after watching a horror movie. And hearing them introduce themselves and talk about this podcast that they do, I approached them afterwards and I asked them a couple of questions in the correlation of mental health and horror and horror therapy as I would call it. And they were kind, they were very welcoming. I would then follow them on Twitter, I would interact with them, and that led to that led to a question. I mean, them if they've ever covered the movie High Tension on their show, because I would love to hear their opinions and thoughts of such a movie. I had just been previously talking about it in some Twitter thread. James messaged me and asked me if Don had put me up to that question, and he hadn't. Turns out that Don had wanted to cover that movie for a while. I just happened to mention it. They asked me if I wanted to join them on that episode. Like, who the hell am I? At that point, I hadn't done anything. I didn't have a podcast. I didn't have a book. We hadn't done a short film. I hadn't done anything. But they welcomed me. And the high tension episode was so much fun to do. And that that was really nice. It was nice for someone to just kind of treat me like an equal. Um, I may or may not have told them the second part, but I think we were doing. I want to say we were recording the episode for the menu, and I was having a very very bad day that day. I'll be honest, the mental was gone. It was dark, and there were parts there were parts of that day where I didn't think I was going to see the sun the next. But I knew I had the show to do. I knew we were recording that day. We were recording that night, and I held out for that. I held out to talk to James and Don. I didn't hurt myself that day because I was going to talk to James and Don. We talked about a movie that I loved, and I won't go so far as to say recording that episode saved my life. However, it definitely played a part, significant part. And having that couple of hours to not think about what I was dealing with, that helped. So yeah, I'm thankful. I'm very thankful for those two and what they've done for me. And they are friends, they are brothers, and I love them both. So go back and listen to all their episodes, particularly the ones I'm on, but all of them. And all of that was because I was inspired by that show. And with that show being gone, there needs to be another movie thought commentary more than just this is what happened at the beginning. This is what happens in the middle. This happens at the end. Not that. Um, there's a billion other channels that will do that. I don't have to be that guy. Just like with Moon Equals Wrestling. If you want to see what's happening, what happened on Raw last night, or the preview for SmackDown, you can go to Wrestle Talk for them. I love Wrestle Talk, so go to them. They'll do that. I'll give you my thoughts and feelings, my opinions, my uh, introspective. I'll do that. I'll give you an opinion you're not going to necessarily see everywhere else. Uh, I'll do a review of something. one episode that I really don't want to do, but I will be doing for Moon Equals Wrestling is my objective opinion of Logan Paul as a wrestler. That's been really kind of fishy here the last couple of days, but I'm going to do the episode either way. Um, I'll even sample that drink Prime. I don't want to. I don't want to do any of it, but I feel like as far as wrestling is concerned, um, that's fair. And I already designed the graphic, so I'm going to do it for that reason. So that objective opinion of Logan Paul episode will come. Um, but yeah, I want to do that movie introspective thing. So like the whys of why we like movies. What is it about that movie that we enjoy? And hell, I'll watch a movie for the first time for the sake of that episode. So what I'll probably end up doing after I end this stream is I will be probably reaching out to a few people. The idea of shows being in seasons podcast, I like it. So maybe I'll do five episodes, and of movie wise, and we'll see how that plays. And if people enjoy it, then well, I might try to do some more. So maybe that's what we'll do. We'll do a test run of that. So I'll be looking for people who will want to talk remotely about uh, some of their favorite movies, some movies that they absolutely hate, and we will see how that plays out. So I explained where I was. I have not talked about Imaginarium yet, but I can't imagine what my life would look like without that convention. Without Steven Zimmer and Holly Philippi, I can't even begin to think where my life would be right now. They've introduced me to so many amazing people. Most of the people I talk to on a regular basis are people that I've met at this amazing convention. It takes place in July here in Louisville, Kentucky. It's a convention for creatives. I've talked about it ad nauseum a billion and one times. It was a couple weekends ago, and it was a great time. Really good for resetting. So one of the things that we did at that convention this year is we had a wrestling and writing um, panel where we talked about the correlation between professional wrestling and 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 writing, and how watching wrestling correlates things you learn from watching wrestling. You can correlate to your writing and to other creative avenues. And what I would wish for that, if there was any changes, I would wish that more non-wrestling fans would be present. Pro wrestling gets this really weird reputation. It's a very weird thing. But I think more people will understand it if they could see it like we saw it. And the way that that wrestling panel really highlighted the normal stuff that you see in professional wrestling, and the way that us creatives can use what we've seen and take it back to what we do. It was great. So thank you to Don Guillory for moderating that panel, James Sabata, Steven Shrewsbury, uh, Addison Philippi, and WW Mitchell, Purple Wayne, for all being a part of that panel, being able to pitch it and write the description and being on it, and having these wonderful people beside me while we're doing it. Probably like one of the best hours of definitely that weekend, probably of my life. It was a great hour, and I was very thankful for you all. So maybe I'll talk about that. There's a whole lot more. There's a million things I want to do. There's a million things I want to get done, and there's only one moon. So we'll see how it pans out, and we'll see what's next, what's new. I'm hoping to get together that movie wise, and we'll see how the first 5 episodes of that. Everything will find its way on this channel. I will probably retitle it from uh, DL Hearn Writes to Moon Media. So when this channel rebrands to Moon Media completely, there will be movie wise, there will be the Moon Eagles Wrestling podcast, and maybe something else. I haven't figured that out yet. Probably just a plain interview program where I get to just meet people and talk to them about whatever they do. Maybe not in the film space or horror space or wrestling space, but just maybe in general. I think that's kind of cool. So we'll see. There are plans for the Moon Media channel. That's what this will be referred to from here on out. There will be plans for the Moon Media channel. If you find me on Facebook, you can join the Moon Media group. We just talk stuff. And I think it will be a lot of fun moving forward. I ask for your patience, and I appreciate the patience you've already given. And that's it. That's all I got. I think I covered everything. Yeah, that's it. All right. So at the very least, I will see you SummerSlam's this Saturday. So at some point in time early next week, you'll probably get an episode of Moon Equals Wrestling. And then hopefully next Friday, you'll get an episode of Socko and the Moon. So until then, Moon out.